Fox 61 News at 10 starts now.
Right now at 10, East Hartford preparing for thousands of law enforcement members and others to pay their respects to two Bristol police officers. Details on Friday's funeral service.
Also, new developments tonight in the cold case known as murder on Middle Beach. We'll hear from the man who spent a decade searching for his mother's killer.
And the state is working to crack down on the rising deadly crashes across Connecticut involving wrong-way drivers. What's being done? First on Fox 61, East Hartford is preparing for thousands of people to pay their respects to the two Bristol police officers killed last week. Good evening, I'm Jen Bernstein.
And I'm Ben Goldman. Thanks for joining us here. Rentschler Field will host a joint funeral service on Friday for Sergeant Dustin DeMonte and Officer Alex Hamzy. Fox 61's Tony Black joins us live outside Rentschler Field tonight to tell us how East Hartford police are planning to honor the two officers. Tony?
Yeah, Ben and Jen, that funeral service will be held here at Rentschler Field in a matter of days, and time is of the essence for the East Hartford Police Department, who met today to discuss the logistics of hosting this event. And they want people who are planning to come to plan ahead, but also those who aren't looking to attend to take note as well.
I think we all look to each other for support, and we also look for a way to help out.
Brothers and sisters in blue from around the state and the country will pay their respects Friday to fallen Bristol police officers Sergeant Dustin DeMonte and Officer Alex Hamzy. A joint funeral service for the officers will be held at Pratt & Whitney Stadium at Rentschler Field. East Hartford police officer Mark Caruso says the department will treat this like a stadium event.
A lot of civilians we're expecting and the public to attend, as well as many police officers across the state and surrounding states.
The service starts at 11 a.m. at the stadium that seats 40,000 people. Police aren't ruling out more than that as the public and police from across the country and possibly out of the country pay their respects.
We expect somewhere between 25 and perhaps as many as 50,000 people to come into East Hartford.
Mayor Mike Walsh says 20 of the 120 East Hartford officers will be working the event and 20 more will be on normal patrol duties. The remaining 80 may be attending the funeral service. The town is preparing for Silver Lane to have traffic from Main Street to the Manchester border starting at 7:30 in the morning and lasting until mid-afternoon. Surrounding roads will also likely have backup. They don't anticipate road closures, but say that will happen as the fallen officers and their families make their way to the stadium.
Whenever we can play a role in helping out or hosting something of this magnitude and we're very thankful we have the capabilities in this town to do that.
Calling hours for Officer Alex Hamzy are Wednesday morning, and parts of Route 6 in Bristol will be closed for it. State police are asking people to park at the fairgrounds and use the provided bus service. There will be a private wake for Sergeant Dustin DeMonte. Back at Rentschler, East Hartford Police will be staffed to handle parking and pedestrian crossings. Bristol police officer Connor Hogan has been preparing for the Friday funeral of his two colleagues in blue.
It's going to be a beautiful send-off for those guys and their families. We're gonna make sure that they're honored in the way that they should be.
Some local hotels in the area did tell me that they are seeing higher bookings for this week. And again, East Hartford Police want to remind anyone who's planning to come to plan ahead, give yourself some time. And also for those who aren't looking to come to take note as well because of these traffic delays. And obviously as the community mourns this very tragic loss. Live in East Hartford, Tony Black, Fox 61 News.
All right, Tony, thank you. And we'll have live coverage of the funeral service for Sergeant DeMonte and Officer Hamzy at Rentschler Field. You can watch it Friday at 11 a.m. right here on Fox 61 and on Fox 61 Plus as well.
Well, we are following some breaking news out of East Hartford this evening where police are investigating a shooting at a condo complex. Police are on the scene right now on Hillside Street at the Coach Lake Village condos. Police confirm a man was shot in the chest. His condition is unclear at this time. We're working to get more information from police on the scene, and we'll be sure to bring it to you once we get it.
Want to move along here and get a first check of the forecast tonight? You can feel that temperature dropping big time. I know we were talking about that as we walked in.
Yeah, it's getting chilly out there. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us for our first check tonight.
Yeah, it's cool out there and the night is young. We're expecting a frosty start to the day tomorrow. There is a frost advisory in effect for parts of the state. If it were up to me, I would put everybody away from the shoreline in a frost advisory throughout much of the rest of inland Connecticut. So if you have any plants that you want to enjoy a little while longer, you can bring them inside tonight if they're potted or cover them with a light blanket. Just a sheet will do, with temperatures dropping into the low to mid 30s inland and near 40 for the Connecticut shoreline. shoreline. We're already seeing temperatures in the upper 30s. Meriden, Torrington, upper 30s in Norwich. Even people that like it maybe a little bit cooler outside may be choosing to close the windows just a little bit tonight. Heading towards daybreak, here's a look at what those temperatures could be doing early tomorrow. Low to mid 30s and near 40 along the shoreline, but a quick rebound in the numbers as we head through the afternoon, climbing into the mid 50s. So we're in for another beautiful day. After a frosty start, 10 a.m. temperatures are in the upper 40s, and we'll see high temperatures in the mid 50s in the afternoon. We're going to do it again for tomorrow night and again heading into Thursday. It is a stretch of beautiful fall days with comfortably cool temperatures and chilly nights, but we change that up heading into the weekend. We'll explain coming up.
All right, thank you, Rachel. New developments at 10 in a Connecticut cold case more than a decade old.
The case known as the murder on Middle Beach caught the country's attention after it was in a documentary on HBO. One of the filmmakers is the son of the victim, Barbara Hamburg. He's now fighting a judge's order for police to turn over more files in his mother's murder investigation. Now the case takes a new step forward as final arguments will be made before the state Supreme Court.
Fox 61's DeAndrea Turner spoke with Hamburg's son about that hearing. She joins us live in studio tonight with what he had to say. DeAndrea.
Well, you guys, he just wants this to continue to move forward. He hopes that tomorrow is a next step and something that's fresh. And he also tells me that he hopes that this will also make sure that there's a relationship that's built between him and the Madison Police Department.
My mom was my best friend. There's not a day that goes by that I don't feel her absence.
Terrible.
It's been 12 and a half years since Madison Hamburg last spoke to his mom, Barbara, who was murdered in their Madison home on March 3rd, 2010.
As for the person who murdered my mom, I just want to know why.
And he has been trying to find out those answers for years, more recently in 2020 with an HBO series, Murdered on Middle Beach, that examines Madison's journey to try to solve the case.
And so it became kind of a journey of finding out more about her and getting this opportunity to get to know my parent as a person. Which is kind of like a part of growing up that was taken from me.
But on his journey to find the ins and outs of who Barbara was beyond the title of mom, he says he's hit a brick wall.
After months of not hearing back from them, I submitted a Freedom of Information Act request, said they were going to, and released, a few thousand pages of case files, but after going through them, we realized that there were case files missing.
He says they then requested those missing files, but
the MPD decided to appeal the request altogether.
This began their years-long journey through the court system, eventually putting the case in the hands of the Connecticut Supreme Court, who will hear the final arguments in this legal battle.
So hopefully this story can set an example and precedent for at least this state and eventually the country to re-examine how law enforcement interacts with the family members of homicide victims.
And after the hearing tomorrow, the state Supreme Court will deliberate to see if those documents will be released. Right now, there is no timetable yet as to when they might rule on this case. And we did reach out to Madison Police for a comment, but we are still waiting to hear back. In the studio, DeAndrea Turner, Fox 61 News.
We'll be watching, DeAndrea. Thank you. Well, new at 10, the state is showcasing new technology in a $20 million program aiming to stop the rise in wrong-way crashes on Connecticut's roads. The CTDOT and state police demonstrated how red lights start flashing above wrong-way signs if cameras detect a driver going up this exit ramp in Southington. Data from UConn says that at least 20 people have died in wrong-way crashes this year. That's up drastically just from 4 deaths last year.
We're looking at additional measures such as the markings on the pavement, the reflective tape on the guide rails, to make it abundantly clear to the driver they're heading in the wrong direction.
There could be several reasons of why there are wrong-way drivers. And like the commissioner said,
impaired drivers is one of them. We also know there might be some type of mental health issue or some type of mental health distress that could be going on.
DOT Commissioner Joseph Giletti says more than 200 of the state's 700 on and off ramps are considered high risk for wrong-way drivers.
Well, tonight we now know the funeral plan for the New Haven police officer who died following an 18-month battle with cancer. New Haven police say that services for Officer Michael Hinton will be on Thursday at Ivon Funeral Home on Worcester Place. Calling hours are from 10 to 1. The funeral for Officer Hinton will follow at Orange Cemetery.
And new attend changes on your next flight on Avelo Airlines from Tweed New Haven Airport. The airline says it's scaling back on flights for the rest of the season. Avelo says the decision comes due to several factors, including jet fuel prices and Hurricane Ian. The airline says it's pausing seasonal service from Chicago to Chicago Midway Airport until early March. Avelo also scaling back some other flights through the end of the year, including those to Nashville, Baltimore, and Raleigh.
We have much